Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF Hayemi, Bava Kamma DAF Samachay. We are holding at the fourth line from the top of the Amud, right at the two dots. Gufa, let's go back and review. Amar Rav. Yesterday, Rav told us a halacha. Keren kein sheganav. If one steals and is caught, in which case he has to pay the actual keren, the actual principal, the item that he took or its value, and then he has to pay kefil, the double pay, and or Bava Kamma, if it's an animal which he shechted or he sold, he has to pay additional penalties which total either 4 or 5 times the amount of the item that he took. Now let's say there's some sort of change in value. There's a fluctuation from the time of the Geneva until today. So which value do we work with? Does he pay according to what it was worth at the time of the robbery, or does he pay current value? So Rav taught us, Keren kein sheganav. In terms of the actual principal payment, that's according to its value back at the time of the Geneva. Tashlumei kefil, however, or Tashlumei Bava Kamma, however, those additional penalties and fines, those are pegged based on current value, kish'as hamada bedin, according to what the item is or would be worth now, today, when the Bezdin gets involved. My time at the Rav. Why does Rav make this distinction between the keren and the other payments? Amar kro geneva v'chayim. Right, yesterday we had the extra words in the pasuk, geneva, chayim, shnayim, yishalim, in which case the pasuk is teaching us, hachyei lekeren kein sheganav, you should enliven, you should restore the geneva back to its original worth. Achyei lekeren kein sheganav. So chayim means bring back life, bring it back to its original value. And it only pertains to the Geneva, the actual item, the keren, the principal, not the additional payments. My time at the Rav, Amakro, Geneva v'chayim. So we learn, Amayka Amar Achman Chayim. Big Geneva. This idea of restoring, bringing it back to life, so to speak, restoring its former glory, its former value, pertains only to the Geneva, right? Chayim, Geneva. Which teaches us that this idea is limited squarely to the keren payment, not to the other payments. Achi lekeren kein sheganav. Amar Sheshes Amina. I'm figuring Kinayim v'Shachar Rav. Amar lahashmat. Rav was known for his brilliant ideas. This is something that could not have come from him when he was totally alert. So in a way, it's a compliment to Rav. He must have been dozing off when he said this halacha. I disagree. You cannot set forth such a halacha. The Sanya. Listen to this brisa, which contradicts Rav's idea. He stole an animal, and then the Ganav himself put in an effort to be mashmin, to stuff the animal, to overstuff it, to feed it, to enhance its value. Mishal and tashlumei kefil, v'tashlumei Bava Kamma, and then the Ganav is caught, he pays the kefil or the dalad v'hei, ke'ein sheganav, according to its former value. It doesn't go up, despite the fact that the animal itself just went up in value. And Rav tells us that when it comes to all these payments, it's current value. Amri, so the answer was no. Rav is speaking about, normal, market fluctuations. But if it involves, an effort on account of the ganav, then you can't collect that from him. Amri, so the answer was mishum de amri, because the ganav can turn to the owner and say, "Anor timna, I stuffed the animal. I made the effort. I invested vat shaklas. You're going to take that credit? Of course not." Tashmai comes another raya to Rav. Shmeina v'hikchisha. So this is going to be a kasha because the brisa begins by describing an animal which is fat, plump, high value, v'hikchisha. And the ganav, worked it to the bone and got it very weak, which lowered its value, of course. So now he's caught. How does he pay? Former or current value? Mishalim tashlumei kefil v'tashlumei Bava Kamma. All these payments are ke'ein sheganav, based on the former value, the higher value. And Rav told us that other than the keren, the other payments are current value based. Hasanami says the Gemara here as well. This loss of value is due to the ganav's interference. That's not just market fluctuations. So he has to take the blame for that. Because we tell the Ganav, look, you worked the animal to the bone, you weakened it. Malikat lekula, malikat palga. What difference does it make if you totally kill the animal, or you partially killed it, you weakened it by working it to the bone, by abusing it? So basically, as soon as you start this abuse, that's when we peg the value of the animal, and that's how you pay. When Rav spoke about reckoning with the current state, speaking about increase or decrease in market value, which is unassociated to the ganav's input. Hey Chidami, okay, so let's speak about increase or decrease in market value. What exactly happened? Did it go up or go down since the time of the Geneva? Shall we say that it went up? When he stole it, it was worth 1 coin. And ultimately today, when he did the tvich and the mechira, it's worth 4 dalet zuzi. So when it comes to the keren, you pay only 1. Why? Keren kein shaganav. How? Lema pliga de Rab. It would appear that Rab's opinion, which says, well, you only pay according to the original price, which is 1 coin, is in disagreement ad Rabba. Why? Because Rabba disagrees. Dama Rabba, Haiman de Gozla, Chavisa de Chamra, Michavri. Shimon stole a barrel of wine from Reuben. Now, Miikara Shavi Zuzah, at the time of the Geneva, it was worth 1 coin. Ubasai Shavi Dalet Zuzi, today it's worth 4. How much does he pay? It depends. Tavra, if he broke the barrel, destroyed it, or Shasti, or drank up the wine, Mishalim Dalet. He pays 4. Rashi explains. Because as long as the barrel was still intact, he has to return it as is. It still sort of belongs to the owner. So now when he went, destroyed it, or drank it, he exacerbated his thievery, right? So it's like he brought it to another level. It's like he made a new gazela by destroying it. So certainly, you pay according to what it was worth at that moment, not according to the lower original price. But Itver Memela, let's say he didn't deliberately break it or drink it, it just, got lost, it broke on its own. So there, the Ganav is only responsible on account of his original thievery, the fact that he stole it way back. He didn't actually do anything now to further destroy it or distance it from the owner. So the Geneva only relates to the original Masa Geneva way back a month ago, in which case it was only worth a zuz at the time. So that's how much he pays. So it depends, what he's taking responsibility for. Which point in time is the trigger? Is it the original Geneva or the enhancement to the Geneva, in the case where he broke it or drank it? So if he broke it, destroyed it, you pay according to current value. But Itbar Mamela, if it broke on its own, Mishalom Zuz, you pay according to the original value, which was 1 Zuz. So this is a kasha. This is a stira. This is in disagreement to Rav, who says that if you steal an animal worth 1 zuz, then it went up in price, it's worth 4, and now he did the tvicha, the mechira, which is like breaking or drinking the wine. That's an enhancement. That's bringing the gzela to another level. That's distancing it from the owner even further. And what does Rab say? That when it comes to the keren payment, you go according to the original price, not according to the current higher value. So Rav seems to be disagreeing with Rabbah. Amri's, the answer was no. Kikama Rav. Rav would agree. In this case, when it increased, when it went up in value, and he destroyed it, of course he pays according to the current price. Kikama Rav was speaking the other way around. When it dropped in price, way back it was worth 4, today it's worth 1. Oh, see here Rav tells us a chiddush. So even though he shechted and destroyed it, when it comes to the keren payment, keren kein shaganav, you pay 4 in accordance with its value at the time of the Geneva. Despite the fact that he added another layer to the Geneva by destroying it today, it doesn't matter, because his accountability for the actual item, for the principle, for the keren, relates to the moment that he stole it. But when it comes to tashlumei kefil, tashlumei Bava Kamma, that's all about how Bezdin applies that penalty today, and it's based on current value. Okay, so in summary, if there's any change in value, how do we reckon the Ganav's payments? Now, if the Ganav contributed, if it's his effort that led to this change, whether for good or for bad, then of course we can't, take that into consideration. But if there is some sort of market fluctuation, so then if it went down in value, says Rav, the Karen is still pegged on the original higher value, whereas the other payments, current value. Tani Rabbi Chanina l'siyul Rav. Rabbi Chanina will now bring a brisa to prove Rav's case, to support Rav's halacha, that Karen is about former value. A fellow committed to watch something for his friend, and then come time to collect the item, he gets up and pretends that it was stolen. That's a toyin tanas ganav, with a pikadon, with a item that was deposited under his care. V'nishba, and he swore falsely that it was stolen. V'hoid, and then he came and admitted. Ubo Edom, and then Edom came along and said, well, actually, we can corroborate what he's saying. We know he stole it. So it depends. Depends what happened first. If he admitted before the Edom arrived, so then he exempts himself from any kefil, because moide biknas potter, right? Mishalm karen mechamish v'asham. So he pays the actual principal. Another fifth because of that false oath, and he pays it. He brings the asham carbon to atone for his false oath. But there's no kefil payment because it was by self-admission. But first the Edom came, right, and testified that he stole it. So that triggers the kefil. Misham tashlamei kefil. But because he admitted as well, he'll have to give the asham and also the chaimish, the fifth. Misham tashlamei kefil, the asham. But here's the catch: now the fifth that he should be paying is sort of included in the kefil. He doesn't have to pay twice, kefil and chaimish. And Rashi points out, we're speaking with the chaimish amount and the kefil amount are exactly the same. How is that? How could a fifth be the same as, double principal, right? We'll see in the Gemara, and the point is that this is going to prove Rav's halacha, that sometimes the things can fluctuate and change, and you can have a chaimish corresponding to the kefil. We'll see. So bottom line, according to Rabbi Yaakov, you can have a fellow paying keren, kefil, asham, and a chaimish. It so happens that the chaimish and the kefil are sort of enwrapped in one payment. The chacham aimer, there's no chaimish in this case, because he's paying kefil. When you pay only principal based on personal admission, you pay chaimish. But when there is some sort of enhanced payment, such as kefil because of the Edom, you don't pay chaimish. It doesn't go together, because the pasuk says, V'shilam oisoi b'roisha, you pay the actual principal, the original, amount. V'chamishisav yosef olaf, and you add a fifth. Then the pasuk continues, and to the next pasuk, v'eshashama, you bring the carbon as well. So the Gemara darshans like this: b'roisha v'chamishisav, that goes together. Mom and amishtal b'roish. If you're paying the actual principal and no more, then moisef chaimish, you add the fifth. Mom and she'ein mishtal b'roish, but if it's not the original payment, you're paying double because of the Edom, then you skip the chaimish, ein moisef chaimish. But you still bring the asham. Here comes a step further. Reb Shimon Yomer, you don't even bring the asham in this case. Ein chaimish v'asham mishtal min ela b'makom she'ish kefil. When there's kefil, there's no chaimish in the asham. Chaimish and asham go together with keren and only keren, by personal admission, but not, in this case. Bottom line, let's go back to Rabbi Yaakov, who says you pay the kefil and the chaimish, provided they're both the same amount. Katanim, yes. The chaimish and the kefil sort of go together because they're the identical, amount of money. Divrei Rabbi Yaakov. How could you have a chaimish, which is essentially a fifth of the total amount, correspond to kefil, which is, double 100%, right? So let's sort of play around with the, fluctuation, options. Initially, when he stole, it was worth 4, and ultimately it's worth 4 as well. So there's no change. Okay, so then it doesn't work. How could you have a fifth corresponding to the kefil? Totally different numbers. Kfela, double pay means you pay another 4, right? Arba, that's 4. V'chumsha, the fifth, is only a zuzah, 1 coin, because chaimish is a fifth of the total amount with the chaimish, so it's called chaimish milavar. So bottom line is this is 4, this is 1. So it doesn't work. El alav, it must be the mikara shavi arba. Initially when he stole it was worth 4. Now it's worth 1. The kefel is zuzah, v'chumsha is zuzah, perfect. So the kefel is 1 zuz, because currently it's only worth a zuz, and you pay, that amount again. And the chaimish, which certainly relates to the original amount, right? Because, when he stole it, it was worth 4. That's only a zuz. So perfect. Al mokeren kein sheganav. Tashlumi, kefel. Tashlumi dal veik, shasam adabedin. Perfect. That's a right to Rav. When it comes to the actual payment, the keren, and the chaimish, which relates to the keren, so that's based on the former value. Whereas kefel is based on current value. So a fifth of the original value is 1 zuz. And the kefil, which corresponds to today's value of a zuz, is another zuz. It's perfect. Amar Rabba, no. It isn't necessarily going to prove anything to Rab. Perhaps we're speaking that it was 4, and it's worth 4 today as well. Regarding your question, how could the kefil then be like the chaimish? Kefela is 4. Dalet, v'chaimish is only zuzah, 1 zuz. My skin was speaking that he duplicated he repeated his offense over and over again. He swore again. For every shvur, he has to bring a zuz. He swore once. Well, I don't have it. It was stolen. Really? You sure? Oh, I'll make another shvur. He did it 4 times. And then he finally admitted on all of them. The Torah says, well, swore 4 times, you pay 4 times. The chamishi sav. It's plural, right? Many chaimishin. Hatoyer ribsa chamishi is harbib karen achas. You can bring many, many times a chaimish, even for 1 item, if you do it over and over again. So again, perhaps we're speaking that it was worth 4. Today it's worth 4. A chaimish is really 1 coin. And kefil is really 4. Not the same number. He repeated his violation over and over again for a total of 4 zuzim for the chaimish payments, which match the 4 for the kefil. Omamar. Okay, once we mentioned this story with the fellow with the Edom, let's go back and discuss the 3 opinions mentioned in the Bryce in terms of what he has to pay. Omamar, v'chacham oimrim. So in contrast to Rabbi Yaakov, it says, well, you pay the kefil and the chaimish. So it happens to be that they sort of cover each other, the same amount. But according to the Chachamim, there's no chaimish in this case. V'chacham oimrim b'roishe v'chamishisav teaches us, ma'am and a mishtal b'roish. If you're only paying the original amount without kefil, if chaimish, then a chaimish is added. But in this case, where there's kefil, mamish, ein mishtal b'roish, ein ma'isiv chaimish. But you bring a karban asham, avlo asham ma'isi. Why? Shouldn't it be, 1 package, either all or nothing? Ma'ish no chaimish to mishal. Why no chaimish? T'chsiv b'roish v'chamishisav. Because the pasuk pairs together the keren with the chaimish, indicating that they're connected. Well, asham nami mishal. You shouldn't bring the asham as well if you're not bringing the keren. T'chsiv b'roish v'chamishisav. And the next pasuk speaks about the asham as hashamai. No, S. It says ve'es hashamai. S is a division. Es paskei kra. We have that division in the psukim to indicate that the asham is not hinging on the keren. Reb Shimon Yochai says no, the asham is hinging. Ve'es, the vav, comes back and mixes it together. Arbi kra packages it, bundles it back together. They're sort of all interdependent. For Rabbanan respond, well, if the Torah is trying to tie them together, and Torah would just leave out the S and the Vav, skip the whole word. Apparently, we are trying to separate the 2 concepts. For Reb Shimon Yochai, he responds, S loy sagya, the loy kasav. We need the S for a different reason. You can't have it without it. Lav suki b'mam gavoya, l'mam headed to differentiate, to make that sort of division between money that's going to ordinary person, your counterpart, the chaimish which goes to the victim, and mama gavaya, the curb which goes to Hashem. It's not proper to sort of read it in one breath. So we need the S in any case, and that's why hilkach also vav arikra. That's why the pasuk added the vav. Don't think that the 2 different realms, vav comes and sort of binds them together. It's one package. When there's keren, there's chaimish, and there's asham. Otherwise, not. Here comes a new halach. Amar B'Lo. Gonav telev v'nasa. A person steals a sheep and it turns into a ram. Egel v'nasa shor, a calf, and turns into an ox. It matures. Nasa shina b'yadai v'kanai. That's a tremendous change. It's a transformation. Totally new bria, new entity. And in which case the ganav is sort of kaina, called kaina b'shinoi. He sort of acquires it to a certain extent, to the point that if he does a tvicha and mechira now, tavach u'machar, it no longer relates to the former owner. You haven't shechted the owner's animal. It's sort of an animal under your care, which you're shechting, and there's no additional dal v'hei penalty. Only if you steal an animal and do the shechita right away, but if you took it, waited until it grew up and sort of changed, designations, it matured into an ox, it's sort of yours now, identifies with you, and the tavach u'machar, which happened now, shelo yuteveach, shelo yu'moichar, is considered like he did his own animal, and he doesn't have to pay the extra payments to the owner. So sure, the Karen, he has to, and all that, but not the dalat v'hei. Eisir chanin l'Rabbi. Rabbi Chanina asked Rabbi a question. From a price. Ganav t'liv and asa ayil. Egel and asa shur. Our case, right? Misham tashlumei kefil. He pays everything. Kefil. Tashlumei Bava Kamma. Kein sheganav. According to its original value. Bottom line is you pay dalat v'hei. Apparently, even though it changed status, it matured, it still fully identifies with its original owner. If you're going to tell me Kanye Bishina, this change, this transformation, sort of makes it his. Why is he paying for shchita or sale? He did it to his own animal. Amar Rabbi responds, okay, so what are you suggesting? That this transformation doesn't make a kinyan. So why is he paying based on former value? Bryce says you pay ke'ein shaganav according to what it was worth at the time of the Geneva. Let him pay, and pay big. Pay based on its current value. It's an ox. He did the shchita on an ox. You should pay 5 times. Right? So either or. If it's a shinoi, then it should be potter. If it's not a shinoi, according to what you're saying, then let him pay according to current value. Amalis, he says no. There is a distinction. It's a slight change. After all, I didn't steal an ox. So how could you obligate me to pay 5 oxen? I mean, you obligate me for the tvich, I understand. It still relates to the owner, but not to the extent that I have to give him 5 oxen, because ultimately I only stole a calf. And my obligations relate to the time of when it was still a calf. It's very well understood. I can explain to you why I'm not paying according to its current state, 5 oxen. Because the ganav can tell the owner, did I steal an ox from you? What do you want from the ox? In the case of the ram, did I steal a ram from you? So he's sort of splitting hairs almost. He's maintaining that the maturation from one stage to the other, from the calf to the ox, doesn't disconnect it from its owner, from its former owner. In which case, if he does tvicha, the ganav does tvicha, now it's considered like he did tvicha to the owner's animal. He exacerbated the geneva, he distanced the animal further from his owner. So that triggers the dalat v'hei payment. But in terms of the quantity, how much do I pay? Of course, I'm not obligated to pay you 5 oxen, because ultimately the geneva relates to a calf, not to an ox. So that was the sort of, his response. Amar Rabbi responded, Rachmana litzlan, Hashem should save us, ma'idayta, from this opinion. How could you sort of split hairs? If you're not going to agree to me, I hold that it's a shino, it totally absolves him from dalat v'hei. It's currently relating to the ganav. But you're maintaining that it's not a shino. It relates back to its former owner. It's fine, so let him pay 5 times this ox. I disagree with this sort of split. Amar Lei, so the Rabbi Chanina responded, Adrab, just the opposite. Rachman on Nitzlan midati dedach, Hashem should save us from your opinion. So basically that was their conclusion. Ma'azk Rabbi Zera, I have a question. Fine. You don't want to submit to this sort of idea that when the animal matures, a calf turns into an ox, which is Rashi calls it ishvach de memela. It's just a natural progression. It's not something. So you don't want to concede that that's called a drastic enough change to sort of disconnect it from its former owner. Okay, but there's something called shini Hashem when something undergoes a name change, such as a calf, which now is now called an ox. It's a drastic change. It's a new identity. Amarava, no, there's no drastic change, because you should know that technically speaking, even a 1-day-old calf can still be called a shur. So he was really a shur from day one. Shur ben yaimai, a 1-day-old shur, kari shur. Likewise, a calf, a ram. Ayil ben yaimai is kari ayil. We have psukim. Shur ben yaimai kari shur. Even a 1-day-old shur is called a shur. As soon as it's born, it's called a shur. Ayil ben yaimai kari ayil. A fresh newborn ayil is called an ayil as well. This was by Yaakov. Avinu told David, I didn't have your rams. I never, misused your rams. You only didn't take rams. What about young sheep? Kvasam sheep achle did. Apparently it's just an all-encompassing term. Ayil ben Yomi Kori Ayil. Ayil means the Ayil family from day 1 till year 100. But bottom line is, we still have this kasha on Rabbi Lo from that brisa. Rabbi Lo said that a calf which matured into an ox is called shinui, and the ganav is kaina, and the brisa indicated not so. Amrav Sheshes, that's a different shita. Hamani Beishami, that's shitas Beishami, you hold. The Amri Shinu b'mkoyma yamed is even when something drastically changes, such as a calf which turns into an ox, he maintains his former identity. V'loikani, and the ganav is not kaina. We don't look at it as a new item, a new identity. The sanya, a new entity. The sanya, we have a brisa regarding an esnan, a gift that was given to an immoral woman, to a zayna, which makes it possible for use on the mezbeach. Nasna be'esnan achit, it gave her wheat as a gift. Vason soilis, and it was turned into flour. So it underwent a drastic change. Or he gave her some olives, vason shemen, which were turned into, she pressed it into oil, anav vason yain, wine to grapes. This new product, does it maintain its former identity? In which case it's an esnan, an asr, or not? But machlek, tani chada asr, tani chada mutter. One says it's okay, one says it's not. But Rav Yosef, who's who? Tani Gurion, Dimas Purak, that was the name of this chacham. He had the name to the face. Beishamai Oistrin, Beishamai say, even though it underwent this drastic change, it still maintains its former isser. Ubetzil Matir, Betzil say, no, it's mutter, because it's no longer its former self. So bottom line, according to Beishamai, even when something undergoes a drastic change, it still maintains its former identity. And likewise, when it comes to the ganav, even a egel that turned into a shur, well, it still connects to its former owner with all its consequences. My time with the Beis Shammai. Why do Beis Shammai say by the Esnan that it's still Asr? T'chsiv Gam. The Pasuk speaks about this Esnan, and we have the word Gam Shnehem. Gam, the extra word Gam is L'Rabbi Shinuyeyem, to include even things that underwent drastic changes. They still maintain their status and Isra. Beis Hillel focuses on the word Haim, which is also mentioned in that Pasuk. Only these, Haim V'lo Shinuyeyem, as opposed to things that underwent change. Beis Shammai Yahu Haim. What do Beis Shammai do with Haim? Believe the same as opposed to the Esnan's offspring. So if you gave her an animal, the offspring is a totally new entity. That's certainly not going to have the Isra. Who the Asa is coming for that? But something inanimate like grapes which turn into wine, no, it maintains the Isra. Beis Hillel will say, Tarti Shamitz Mino, I can learn both things from the word Haim. Haim B'lo Shinuyei Haim. When it comes to grapes which turn into wine, the wine is a new entity. It's a changed entity. Haim believe the same. Likewise, Haim means the original animal given to the Zaina, but not the offspring, which does not have the Isra. Asks the Gemara, but what happened to Gam, which was Beis Shammai's source? What's Beis Hillel going to do with Gam, which indicates that we maintain the Isra, even when it undergoes change? Beis Hillel ksiv Gam, what do I do with Gam? You're right, we have no application for that word. Gam, according to Beis Hillel, is a kasha. We leave it up in the air without resolution. Okay, continue resolution tomorrow. Okay, so in summary, Rav tells us if there's any change in value, and we learned that we're not speaking about something which was initiated by the Ganav and invested by the Ganav, something sort of like market fluctuation. So if it started up high and went down to a lower value today, the current relates back to the original price, and the other payments like Kefon, Tashlumi Bava Kamma, Kishas, Hamad B'din, current value. We tried to bring a raya to Rav from the Brisa with the Karen Chaimish V'asham. We sort of threw off the raya, but we still had the whole explanation regarding the three shittas in that brisa. Rabbi Yehuda had a chiddush. An animal matures into a new, mature stage. It's called a shinui. We had a kasha and Rabbi The Gemara answered, well, that brisa perhaps is Beis Shammai, who typically hold that a shinui of such is not reckoned with, whereas according to Beis Hillel, anything that undergoes this drastic change is reckoned with in accordance with Shita as Rabbi Yehuda. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.